Rude, the most reliable heating and air conditioning products in the DMV. Let's welcome onto the show our buddy Logan Paulsen, the longtime NFL tight end, 10 years in the league, and my co-host for the Take Command podcast on the Commanders, which you can listen to wherever you get your audio. Logan, welcome to G&D, buddy. How are you?
I'm great, man. How you guys doing?
Good, buddy. Good to catch up.
You headed to Indianapolis tomorrow or Wednesday?
Wednesday I'll be going out because so for our show we just covered the drills basically. So we're going to do drills. We're going to get like a quick interview with Adam Peters. So it should be an eventful couple of days out in Indianapolis for us.
Very cool. New episode of Take Command dropped today. We spent a lot of time talking about Jeremiah Love as an option at number 7, pretty elite running back talent. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it felt like I was trying to convince you for much of the podcast that people will be listening to. But what's your take on, whether or not Washington's going to have the luxury of doing something like that after free agency?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously depends on what they do in free agency, but I think due to the unusual composition of this year's draft, I don't think anything's really off the table. I think what you want, and what we've talked about on Take Command quite a bit, I'm sure you guys have talked about in your shows, you want add some blue chip talent to the roster. And so when I look at Jeremiah Love, to me, he's a blue chip piece that's going to, I think, could fit here really nicely because of where the offensive line is at. But, could be Jeremiah Love, could be Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, David Bailey, Arvell Reese. Insert your player here. I think all those guys are good football players. I think it just kind of depends on what the roster looks like post and what kind of grade you have on that player. Because, again, if you think he's the best offensive piece in the draft, I'm probably taking a swing on that if that's what your evaluation is.
So how do you view running back, Logan? I mean, to me, the difference maker at that position, I know they touch the ball so much, but 99% of plays are just kind of football plays, right? Where you don't really notice the difference. Yeah, when a guy hits a home run like Barkley did against Washington in the postseason, you notice it, but most of the time it's 4.32 yards versus 4.41 yards that the exceptional running back gets you, and it's marginal. How do you view the spot right now, though? Because it seems the pendulum is swinging the other way where we're valuing them again.
So, I mean, I think obviously running backs need to be valued appropriately, but I think the one thing that you mentioned there, which I think is interesting, is you don't notice a running back until they provide an explosive player for the offense. Right. I think when you look at Jeremiah Love, that's his thing, right? He's not necessarily the most efficient runner. He's not necessarily the biggest guy, but when he gets the football in his hands, man, he is finding pay dirt in a big way, right? He can run, he can catch a football, he can have the breakaway speed. So I think that's what you got to think about in terms of contextualizing this player. It's not so much what is he, as you said, 4.6, 4.7, whatever the average yards per carry is. I look at, does he affect the explosive play rate of the offense? So can he take a 5-yard gain and turn into a 15 or 20-yard gain? Can he get you a 65-yard home run? Think about what Saquon did for the Philadelphia Eagles in terms of bringing that explosive element to their offense on low leverage downs for the quarterbacks. I think there's tremendous value there. Now, is he going to be that guy? I mean, I think when you watch the tape, he's a pretty outstanding prospect. Just depends on whether you think the roster that you currently have constructed can tolerate it. I think the offensive line personally is in a pretty good spot. Just depends on whether you think that running back piece is more valuable potentially than, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, one of those receivers in this year's draft, or if you think one of those defensive pieces can really add to the roster. So it is just a cost-benefit analysis for the team. And I think, to me, the only legitimate argument against running back at 7, to me, is the financial element, right? Because defensive linemen are making $40 million, receivers are making 35. Top flight running backs are making $12 to $14 million. So do I want to draft a guy that's going to be making top running back money, potentially, or do I want to get a cost-controlled asset at receiver and kind of use that dividend in price to go get other pieces on the roster?
Logan Paulsen, you can check him out. His podcast is Take Command that we do together, joining us on Grant and Danny here on The Fan. Logan, a couple of superlatives for you to answer and kind of fill out here. If I wanted to talk ceiling, who are the guys in the top 7 mix at the top of the board, take Mendoza out of it, that you think have the best chance to be the best players? If I was to say, give me 2 guys that end up being gold jacket players, just as an aside. And then the other one would be surest things. Hey, it's not the best top 10 ever, but I tell you, I'll be shocked if Caleb Downs isn't a Pro Bowl safety or whatever. So give me 2 names that are sure things and then 2 names that are big swings.
So sure things, man. I think you're going to be pretty, in terms of sure thing, I think Ruben Bain is about as on base as you're going to get from a prospect standpoint. He plays the run well. He's physical. Is he the best pass rusher in the class? No, but he's got great instincts in the run. He's competitive. He's tough. His football character supposedly is off the charts. So he strikes me as a guy that is, the most kind of like get on base, like sure thing prospect in this draft, and in terms of that top 10 kind of range. The other guy to me, and again, maybe not for Washington, would be Francis Malinois, the offensive tackle from Miami. Like, he plays right tackle for them. Like, when I watched the tape, he has been a 4-year starter there. He was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Like, he is just a pro's pro. He's been coached by one of the best offensive line coaches in college football, understands pass pro, physical in the run game, can get out into space and wear you down. And again, if that doesn't work out for you in terms of right tackle, I think he'd be a fantastic guard. So those guys, both from Miami, surprisingly feel like really kind of solid picks there. And in terms of ceiling, I think the kind of mystery box in the top 10's got to be Arvell Reese for me. And again, like, I think the more I watch him, the less mystery there is associated with him. He is fast. He's physical. He can do a little off-ball stuff, do a little on-ball stuff. I worry about him as a full-time pass rusher, but, man, every once in a while you'll catch a rep where he's closing on a quarterback like a cheetah to a gazelle, man, and you're like, I want that in this defense as much as possible. And I think about what Durante Jones talked about in terms of flexibility. Like, he's that flexible chess piece for you. And a guy, honestly, in terms of big swings in the top, now I don't think he's going to be a top 10 player, but in terms of ceiling, to me, it's like the Keldrick Falk kid from Auburn. I know a lot of people haven't talked about him in the top 10, but he's 6'6", he's 290, he can play 5 technique, 3 technique nose, he can play stand-up defensive end. I've seen him drop into coverage. Like, athletically and frame-wise, like, it doesn't get much bigger, badder, and more physically gifted than that. So those would be my, mystery boxes with high upside. Those are my sure things for you there, Grant. And again, I kind of cheated with the Keldrick Falk thing, but I can cheat a little bit on this show, I think.
We'll allow it, Logan Paulsen, with this. You cheat on your diet all the time. You had like a piece of broccoli the other day that was cooked with salt on it. I mean, that's a total violation.
You know what he did like 2 days ago?
What did he do?
He put butter on broccoli.
Look, no, dude, I would never do that.
You disgust me.
Sometimes, butter, no way.
You disgust me, Logan. Logan Paulsen with us here on G&D.
Logan, when's the last time you went to a movie theater?
Oh, it's been a minute, man. I used to love going to the movie theater all the time, but obviously, Grant, you've got a kind of a cohort of children, and Danny, you too. Like, It makes it hard to get out and see the world when you got those kids running around.
Well, what I'm wondering, 2 things. 1, we should go to a movie together sometime. But 2, would you get popcorn if you went to a movie?
So funny thing about me, I actually like fiber, like unsalted, unbuttered popcorn as like a high fiber snack because it's low calorie and you get a lot of fiber per serving size. But when you go to the movie theater, obviously they augment that equation a little bit. There's a lot of salt, a lot of butter on there.
I'm talking about like that hydrogenated oil that they put on it, like that shoots out the
the fake stuff, the gross stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not, Coach. But again, like everyone, that's not me judging anybody. Everyone's got their own shot there, so do what you got to do. But yeah, I like popcorn. Just movie theater popcorn's a little too rich for my blood.
Just want it dry and flavorless. Can I go back to Ruben Bain? There's this his arms are short thing, and is he too heavy to be a D end? I kind of don't care. I feel like it's not quite the NBA at this point, Logan, where it's like, are you between 6'5" and 6'10", and you're just a wing and you're just a basketball player? I think we're kind of going in that direction for defensive linemen in football to a degree. Is he a 4-3 end? I don't care. Is he a 4-3 DT? I don't care. I feel like, just like you said, I think he's a badass and he'll help.
Yeah. So I think he's a badass. And again, like, role here in Washington is a little bit nebulous because of the 3-4 principles that Durante Jones brings. Excuse me. But I will say the thing about Ruben Bain, the thing that is kind of the outlying metric that I just want to make sure we check the box of is, like, if he's got like 29-inch arms, like, that is a little bit alarming. Probably because, like, he would just be like an historic outlier at the position. So, 31, 32, don't really care about that. The tape's good enough. But if we're, 2 or 3 inches off the mark in terms of minimum threshold traditionally for the position, I think it becomes a conversation. Because, like, there's reasons that those guys aren't good in the NFL. Like, now there's a little bit of selection bias, all those types of things. But I think, again, like, if you're just watching the tape, he's a guy that understands the pass rush line at a high level. He's physically violent. He's got good instincts. He kind of knows those moments when he can take over a game. So again, the film, the physicality, everyone says he's 6'3", he's a big man. 270 pounds, that's a big dude.
Yeah.
And so again, like, I think he's a good football player. I just want to make sure that some of these measurables are checked off, and so he's not kind of like this historic outlier at the position.
Logan, we got a little more insight into the offensive staff today. One of the last questions to be answered was whether or not Brian Johnson was going to be returned. and he decided to leave. He's going to be with the Rams as an offensive assistant. So with David Blau, and you talked a lot on our pod and other places about just how hard it's going to be for him in his first year, you do still have Anthony Lynn, who's got head coaching and OC chops, but otherwise it's not that experienced of an offensive staff. I am pumped they kept David Rye, the tight ends coach, but otherwise a few of the senior members did leave, and the O-line coach, which felt really important for me, is a first-timer as well, and Darnell Stapleton, who is elevated internally. What do you make of the staff around David Blau here?
Yeah, obviously, I think we talked about on the podcast, like wanting to get some more experienced people on staff. But like since that conversation, I've had the opportunity to talk to David Blau, and I've had the opportunity to talk to Coach Rye a little bit. And I think the thing that stuck out to me is I just could feel like their energy and their passion. And you know, I had 10 years of experience in the NFL, so like I don't have a wide array of experience in terms of coaching staff, but it reminded me a lot of like Kyle and Sean and the youth of that staff and how excited everybody was to build something and kind of put in all the football that they've learned into those moments. And it was really something that like in those conversations, it just got chills a little bit, you know? So like if they are bringing that level of intensity, that level of passion to what they're doing, and I think you can get away with some stuff, you know? And in some ways, I think that's good, right? Like to have the old crotchety coach that's kind of done it the same way for 30 years. And now you've got this young staff that's really thinking about football in an innovative, constructive way. They're building it from the grassroots up. Like there's something kind of cool about that. And I do think the youth and the vibe and the emotion that they brought was something that I think is going to resonate with the guys. And again, I'm a little bit less worried after having some brief conversations with those guys.
So should we take it this way, Logan? Like Grant and I were positing about this earlier, and I'm wondering your thoughts on it. Because there aren't, as you said, like 7 old crotchety guys that at one time were the it guy, now they're overweight with beards and, you know, they smell permanently like skull mint. Because there's not like a million of those dudes on the staff, does that reflect incredible amount of confidence in Blau? Is that how you view it?
I do, and I think sometimes like football, you know, everyone talks about the experience required, and that's important, but it is at its core, I think, a young man's game. I think it's a young man's game when it comes to being a player. I think it's a young man's game when it comes to coaches. Like the best coaches I've been around, like the guys that have had the biggest impact on me are younger guys, right? Kyle in 2010 to 13, Sean, same kind of time frame. I think about Frank Smith when I was in Chicago, Wes Phillips, like those guys were passionate, motivated, energetic about the game. And so I think there's a give and take, right? Obviously the experience is really important. And I think, you know, like having someone in the building that has a certain level of experience is going to be important. So like, I'm going to kind of keep an eye on the coaching hires and see if someone comes in just as like a offensive consultant to kind of provide some scaffolding or some framework for these guys. But I do think that like, it's okay if these guys are going to attack it this way. Like it's going to be okay. And again, they're going to go through their bumps and their growing pains and all those different things. But I'd rather someone who's like, you know, frothing at the bit, as opposed to somebody got to be like, hey man, come on, let's go. Let's try something different. Let's try something innovative. So yes, I think there will be an experienced coach at some point in some capacity that oversees this thing in some way. But I do like the fact that the youthful guys are really motivated and energetic.
Logan Paulsen on Grant and Danny here on the Fan. Logan, we started talking about the draft. I want to come full circle back to the draft, I guess, here, because I want to ask about tight end. How would you address that position? We found out today Kyle Pitts is likely to be tagged by the Atlanta Falcons, so that's one less quality tight end on the market. It is a pretty bountiful group, though, in free agency if they wanted to spend money. They could also draft someone in round 3 if they like a target there. How would you go about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably kick the tires on those other guys remaining. Like we talked a little bit about David Njoku, Chigokonkwo, I think would be a really interesting one down the board. Isaiah Likely, like I would call on all those guys and see what they were looking for in terms of money, what they thought about the role here. But again, this is a kind of a funny is the wrong word, like a strangely deep tight end class in my opinion. And so I do think there are some really good football players. You mentioned at 7, obviously there's guys like Eli Stowers, you know, Justin Jolly, Oscar Delp, Jack Endries from Texas. But if you go down the list, like, you know, I'm just looking at the consensus board right now, like there's Sam Roush, there's Tanner Colzier, there's Nate Brodericker from A&M and Houston and Stanford. And those guys, when I've seen them play, I'm like, those guys are good football players. Now, are they like the dynamic offensive playmaking piece? Some of those guys are, but I do think like there is a kind of playmaker quality to some of these guys down the board that get me really excited. So again, I'm kicking the tires, talking to everyone I can in free agency, especially those guys I think are going to be offensive difference makers. But when I look at the draft, I'm kind of like, oh man, there's some guys down the roster here that I think could be playmakers and add something to this offense if necessary.
What kind of tight end do they need? You know what I mean? Like, is it the inline blocker who can catch? Is it the guy that's just a big-bodied wide receiver that can put his hand in the ground every once in a while? Like, give me your prototype.
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of hunting for the guy that you described there. You want someone that can do both, obviously, but usually a receiver is a little bit smaller in terms of build, stature, to kind of have some dexterous movement skills, all those different things. So I think right now this offense is probably looking for a little bit more of a pass catcher, but those pass catchers can look very different. I think about like Trey McBride, for example, or George Kittle. Like those guys are 6'3", 6'4", 245, 255 pounds. They're not small people. So it just depends on the type of offense you're running. And I do think that the tight end here, Ben Sinnott, will perform better in this offense with David Blau at the helm because of the type of things they're going to ask him to do. Like I think I was talking to one of my buddies recently, and he brought up this little anecdote about Arizona. He's like, when Cliff was there, Trey McBride had a really hard time integrating into that offense. And then, the guy that took all of the reps was Zach Ertz. And when Zach Ertz kind of aged out and Trey McBride came in, he was having a hard time in the offense. And then they kind of shifted the offense to more of a pro-style offense. And Trey McBride has 115 catches last year. And I'm not saying Ben Sinnott's going to have 115 catches, but I do think role and function in an offense is very, very important. So I think you can find guys all over. I think you can find the receiver, you can find the blocker.
By asking him, has he ever ice skated?
About ice skating, yeah.
Well, here's what's crazy. So Logan had never ice skated as of a few years ago when I was asking him that. Can you ice skate? He now is in a competitive, like legitimately good dudes ice skating hockey league. He taught himself to ice skate well enough that he's like a good player on a men's ice skating league.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that crazy?
That is nuts.
Good players probably strong. Like there are some dudes that are really, really good. I'm just kind of a body but I learned how to skate backwards, learned how to skate forward, can do turns now.
But did you get coached? Did you hire someone? Like you went from not skating at all at 35 years old to being good enough to play in a league and be competitive.
Yeah, so me and a couple of the other dads on my son's team were like, "Oh, why don't we just take a learn to skate?" So we did six learn to skate classes, and they were like, "It'd be a good idea. Let's join a league." And that was obviously very, very eye-opening because we were nowhere near good enough to join any type of league. But we stuck with it for about a year, and I got better with the reps that I had, and now I'm a decent skater. So
just picture Logan holding that little penguin as he's trying to go around the rink a couple times,
But your son is a pretty good little hockey player, and the reason I bring this up is Team USA beats Canada yesterday for gold, this incredible moment. I want to know if the Paulsens were watching. Was your son locked in? Like, what was it like?
Grant, it was like the Super Bowl over here, man. Like we are in a hockey cultural little bubble out here. My son skates at Ashburn Ice House, and all his travel buddies run group text. Everyone's texting about every goal. My hockey teammates that I play with are texting me to make sure everyone's up, and we're eating our eggs and pancakes, watching the U.S. win a gold medal, which was pretty exciting, especially because it was a great game. And again, like Team Canada kind of put them on them, and I think led in shots, led in time of possession, all those different things, but they didn't win in the most important metric, which was goals, which was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it was quite a game, and it's been quite a story all day long to see the reaction. Good to see Canada's taking it well, though. They're about to hang a banner about how they were so much better all game long.
We actually outplayed them.
Yeah,
banner.
Yeah, crazy.
Thanks,
I think
buddy.
That is crazy. What a crazy. Just can we 5 seconds? What a crazy bit by that guy. Like we were the better team. There is a point system that usually determines that at the end of the game.
It's funny how they do that. Yeah.
But look, what he's saying, he's basically saying we outplayed them. And as you just said, when you outshoot someone, when you outpossess them, when you outskate them, you do all these things, you might feel that way. The problem is
touchdowns.
And
yeah,
then I
that's the
waddle
difference.
up to you in the
count.
locker room post game, and I'm like, Logan, what do you think? You're like, we actually outplayed them. You guys saw the game. Who's the better team? And every now and then that'll happen, but it's so embarrassing. People know better. It's like, okay, maybe just log off here for an hour or two. You're embarrassing yourself.
Yeah, don't need all that. Don't need all that noise out there for sure.
All right, buddy.
I don't
Enjoy
know, man.
Indy.
That was a wacky bit by him.
You can do a little
thanks,
St.
guys.
Elmo's
Appreciate it.
steak. You can do a little some red meat.
Yeah, what is that? Like the horseradish sauce they got there?
That's the bit.
There you go.
12 a.m.
Clean you out a little
You
bit.
are entitled to one. This is I've never offered this before. One full sweet potato as a side.
Wow.
Dude, I mean, I would be stoked on a sweet potato.
I know.
You're talking my language now, Dave.
Oh, I know, dude.
Are you a ribeye? I mean, that's probably too much marble for you. You're probably what are you? You're probably a strip guy or a fillet guy?
So have I told you this, Grant? I'm doing a filet, no salt, no butter. That's my order now when I go to steakhouses.
That's so tough.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
You've
No
not told me
salt?
that, but that's annoying. So then, and how do you get it cooked? Do you do Pittsburgh or what do you do?
I'm just like, hey, like let's do like medium rare. Usually, depending on the steakhouse, dude, it's come out chef's kiss every time I've ordered it that way. So I'm in on that. No salt, no butter.
No salt, no butter.
Yeah. So try it. I'm filet. It's pretty good. Get the 12 ounce. So I'm happy with it. But I do get weird looks though usually when I order it that way.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, we'll have to discuss this more on Take Command. You can check out Take Command, Logan's pod that we do we do it 3 times a week now. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, a new episode drops. So there's one out today. All right, Logan, be good, brother.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
You
Thank you,
got
pal.
it. Grant and Danny on the Fan.